Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are reviewing the Nerf Hyper Evolved 100. I am so excited for this blaster. Is Hyper dead? This is the second blaster to be released in 2022. This is more of a primary class blaster, so let's take a look and see what we find out. Alright, so let's take a look at the box, see what we find out about the blaster itself. So we've got a nice big picture of it here. This is clearly a primary class blaster. We've got a, looks like a instant reload quotation here. I'm not sure what that means. With a spring open hopper, could be interesting. We've got where eye protection included, which is always a good thing. Includes 70 rounds, even though this is a 100 round hopper. Hasbro, what is up with that? Come on now. The one claim that is on this box is it has the same hyper claim on all of them. Extreme speed up to 110 FPS. Other than that, we don't have any claims on the box itself. The backside just illustrates where the hopper button is. So this is what will open your hopper. 100 round capacity, even though it only includes 70 rounds. Looks like we've got a couple tack rails with some different pods that are available for purchase. We've got a foregrip, and then looks like a kind of like a demonstration of what's going on here. So quick release button, spring open hopper, drop the rounds, and canisters not included, obviously. Nothing else really to kind of show for it. I do find it interesting on the back here, they're advertising the Rush 40 instead of the Fuel 20. Interesting. It's weird. It's kind of, I just find that interesting because this came out in 2022. The Rush 40 came out in 2021, I think. And then, yeah, 2021, and then the Fuel just came out as well. It just came out in 2022. So why would they not be advertising that one? But obviously they have like, hey, here's some more rounds you could buy. So yeah, let's go ahead and open it up and take a look inside. All right, so there she is out of the box. This is a nice size blaster. Definitely primary style blaster. We will, of course, give you my opinions at the end of the video here, but let's go over the features of the blaster itself. So starting at the back here, you do have a fixed stock. This isn't extendable or closable at any point here. It's got some nice knurling on the side here, but pretty flat on this side, but it does have a little notch, so it can really kind of fit right into your shoulder blade area real nice. So moving up, it is got this thumb hole stock. You've got Picatinny rail here, or rival rail, whatever you want to call it here. So you could take like one of your pods, and I believe it just kind of, yeah, just kind of connects there. And that's not too bad, actually, to tell you the truth. There have been worse placed rival rails, and that could be really nice to reload and things like that. As long as it doesn't like hit you. You can get like an extended one, get right. So this is a 100 round capacity. You could probably get another 50 in there. Let's see. Can you fit the 150? Oh, you can. There you go. For extra rounds. So you got your 50, reload, drop, and then you got another 100 down range. So yeah, you got your full rival rail there. It does stop, so you can't like go all the way through, so you won't have to worry about it falling, like, you know, jostling it free. You just have to worry about it coming off the front end. So that is cool. It's nice that those fit very snugly in there. So this, moving back up to the handle, so this is the release, and this is really cool. So you get a single press, opens up, and it retracts automatically, and it is snappy, my friends. I mean, this is nice. It is ambidextrous, so you've got a couple different, or tridextrous, I guess this would be, because you've got a couple different placements. So like, if you can see, I'm right-handed, so with my trigger finger on the trigger, I can still reach my thumb and open it up fully extended. Same thing goes if you're a left-handy. You can still got your finger on the trigger, pull your thumb back, and open all the way up. The other thing is, you can, when you're kind of in cover, you can use your thumb and press this way as well to kind of get that full, like, straight vertical drop for your rounds. So you've got options. this is really cool. We're going to talk about this more in the opinion, so stay tuned for that for sure. The grip feels nice. Trigger well. Fantastic job, Hasbro. This is nice. I really dig in the trigger. It's a nice snappy trigger, not a long throw, which is nice. You do have your safety, so down is safe, up is hot or fire. We've got our unjamming switch here, so if your if your blaster jams up or seizes up, this is a way you could stop that or reprime your blaster. Up top, going into the hopper itself, nice long hopper. This does hold 100 rounds. I can confirm that it comfortably holds 100 rounds, which is nice. It's not really crammed in there with that many rounds in it. I mean, this is the 100 round pod right here, so you can see it definitely is going to fit. And then there's extra room as well, so there's plenty of room in there. As far as the hopper goes, you've got a nice downward slant leading into the actual feeding tube here. And you've got two agitators in here, so when you prime the blaster back, it looks like they go forward, and then this little canopy kind of opens up to allow more than one ball to kind of drop in, but it funnels it so that only one enters in the chamber. So then you pull it forward, those two agitators go back, seated back down, and then the top kind of collapses on top of it. You've got some rear iron sights here that correspond with the front iron sight here, which is fantastic. So unlike the the Fuel 20 just had the front, no, it had the front, I think it had the front iron sight, yeah, which doesn't really help you do anything because you don't have anything to line it up. You need point A and point B for sights to actually be effective. Then also across the top, we've got a little bit of tack rail here. The box says you could put a canister there, a refill pod, but yeah, that kind of defeats the purpose of the sight and stuff like that. So with it being so far down the barrel, a red dot probably wouldn't be as effective either. You want your red dot kind of like above your trigger, or just above your trigger. There's nothing on top here. They really could have done well to extend this bar all the way out and put this tack rail just all the way across. We'll talk about that more and how useless that really is. You've got a couple unjamming doors on each side, so ambidextrous jamming doors. Slightly larger than the past ones. Unfortunately, though, you really can't get to too many jams in there. So it is what it is. So that's the jam doors. Like I said, you get one on each side. Not too terribly effective based on their size, but it is what it is. Going forward here, we've got our orange muzzle brake here in our barrel. It looks like the plunger and the pusher are like right there. They're just like right there. And so not a lot of travel for the round. It must literally kind of go and just drop right here and then get pushed in and chambered like right in there and then shot out. The rifling inside the barrel is not the same as the Rush 40, so it doesn't have a hop up, so your Rush 40 hop up is not going to work in there. We'll talk more about that in the follow-up after our range testing and stuff like that, but there is potential, spoiler alert. And then moving down to our foregrip or our punt grip, you've got a vertical grip here, and it's quite comfortable. It's got a nice little lip here, keeps your hand from slipping off. There's no crazy plastic jutting out. There's no risk of pinching your thumb. You can put your finger on top here if you want for a little more comfortability. There is a little bit of purchase here, so if you want to pump it and then kind of have, select your shot or whatever, you got for those horizontal pump holders, if you want to do that. You're not going to be able to pump the thing like that, but you are able to hold. There's enough there to kind of purchase onto, but this is nice. It feels good in the hands. It really does. Going back, the safety is ambidextrous, so you do have it on both the left and the right side, which is nice for you lefties. The one thing I did not do is I'm curious what is under here, and we will talk about that in the end, during the end there. But yeah, the other thing that's interesting too is Nerf actually has a pretty good seal on this one. So I've got my finger plugging the barrel here, and it does hold a nice seal when I plug it up here, which you can hear a little bit of air gets out, but it does plug up, and that is the sign of a nice, well-built plunger tube and plunger system, air system. So this one might deliver the hits. I'm kind of curious to get it out on the range. So yeah, let's go ahead and load it up, and let's see how she goes. All right, so we have the Nerf Hyper Evolved 100. These are 20 genuine Hyper rounds. I'm gonna be aiming. How do I want to do this? Aiming square at the center of the thing. Uh-oh. Failed load. Ready? Go. There we go. Hold on, not ready yet. Hold on. Ready? Go. Ready? Go. Uh-oh. This thing's gonna need a hop up.
Ready?
Go.
Ready? No!
Hold on, I'm not ready. This is with Little Valentine ammo. Ready?
Up, 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 up.
Hold on. All right, guys, so we are back in from the range, and let me tell you, this thing is a lot of fun to play with, and without getting into my opinion too much, it just feels nice. So let's go ahead and talk about those results real quick, starting with the accuracy test. The Nerf Hyper rounds performed much better than the Little Valentine ammo, and like I said, in our original video, if you guys have a third or fourth or any type of other ammo you'd like us to test from another manufacturer, leave them down in the comments below. We'll be more than happy to pick up a few boxes and just test them out, see what we like and how it fits into our review cycle. But right now, the two that we're testing are just the Hyper and just the Little Valentine. So like I said, the Nerf Hyper did outpace the the Little Valentine ammo. And this was 40% to 20% at 30 feet. So a little bit disappointing stock, which is unfortunate. Now keep in mind that when we do our range tests and our accuracy tests, the blaster is kept at a horizontal level to the actual target itself. This prevents any type of human error or human interaction, trying to keep it as scientific as we possibly can. So we'll talk about that in just a moment and kind of give you an idea on where to go from there. We did, for giggles, we walked back to the 45-foot range and took a few shots. We didn't test the Little Valentine because it was already short, it was already low enough, but the Nerf Hyper hit about 15%. So the optimal range for this blaster stock without an incline is less than 30 feet. So you're looking at 20 to 25 feet for straight engagement. Now, that might scream indoor blaster to you, but shooting at an average of 110 feet per second, this is by far not an indoor blaster. I would not recommend this with your indoor wars. You're gonna break something. So outdoor wars only. So the one thing I wanted to press upon you guys here is if you look at the results from our accuracy test, and we're gonna look at the precision now, and the actual groupings of these two ammo types is not bad at all. It's about 3 feet for both the Hyper rounds from Nerf and then also the Little Valentine. So while the Little Valentine didn't hit the target nearly as much, the grouping was just as tight as the Nerf Hyper rounds. So basically what that means, what that tells me is if you have your blaster at just a slight incline, I'm talking less than 10%, something like that, like going straight, maybe 10%, 5%, somewhere in there, you're hitting the target every time, or at least very, very close. So that will change the kind of the outcome that we had in our testing, is kind of giving that angle a little bit. The other thing you can do is add a hop up. We'll talk about that here in a minute. So yeah, so even less than 10 degrees can raise that shot up just a little bit. And the nice thing is the sights in that it comes stock with this blaster allow for that, and you're not blocking your sight lines or anything like that. You can still see your target even with that slight increase in angle. So again, like I said, with our testing procedures, we want to make sure everything is equal and on an equal playing field, so we don't do any type of incline or anything like that. So let's go ahead and jump over to FPS. This is where I was very curious to see if this is going to be hitting that 110 or higher. It sounds like it's going to be hitting higher. So as we do with all of our blasters, we put 20 rounds, average it out, give it to you guys, give the standard deviation, all that stuff. So let's kind of jump into that. With the Nerf Hyper rounds, our average, with the Nerf Hyper rounds, you're looking at a 119 high, the low being 105, and then the average being that exact 110. Standard deviation for the Hyper rounds was 3, so a great grouping as far as the accuracy and precision goes, and then also a great grouping as far as the FPS goes. So that is a definite win for the actual genuine ammo for this blaster. Little Valentine had a little bit harder time keeping up. Their high was 117, which is right on par with the genuine ammo. The low is where they really kind of struck out, hitting at only 91 feet per second, giving them an average of 100 feet per second and a standard deviation of 7. So not as consistent as the Hyper rounds themselves. Again, these are 20 brand new, never shot before rounds, and yeah, it's kind of mind-boggling that this thing's not shooting any hotter based on how the spring sounds. And usually you can tell with like the spring and like the air release, and especially with the seal that this thing has. I would be curious modding this if putting a stronger spring would yield better results. With the short barrel that it has, that might have way too much damage on your accuracy, and that might be the trade-off that you have to take if you're looking for a higher FPS. So yeah, as far as the FPS goes, Hyper definitely has the edge over the Little Valentine ammo, and that's okay. That's not that bad. You know, the price wise, you're looking at about 14 cents per round, and then for the Little Valentine, you're looking at about 8 cents per round. So 2/3 of the cost gets you about 10 FPS more. It's kind of up to you. A little bit better range. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into my opinions about the blaster. So I'm going to be completely upfront with you guys. When Hyper was announced, I was super excited. I've been a huge fan of the rival blasters, and having something that appeared to be more accurate, lighter weight, and just more powerful, and then the Nerf rival rounds and Nerf rival blasters, I was really excited. The offerings that came out in the first year, the Siege 50, the Rush 40, and the Mach 100, I got my hands on 2 of the 3, but I've got my hands on the Rush 40, and that I love that blaster. We did a review of it versus the Fuel 20 last week. Go ahead and check that out, and you can see the test results as well as my opinions on that one. But spoiler alert, I enjoyed using that blaster. It's a lot of fun, high capacity. it's accurate within a certain range. If you modify it very slimly, you can get even better range, better performance out of it. So it's a fantastic blaster. The Siege 50, while looks cool and operates, the operation of it is kind of hit or miss. You got an opportunity to play with it as well as against it at a couple Nerf battles, and the sporadic, double chambering of rounds or mischambering of rounds is just, couldn't rely on it, and I wouldn't recommend that one. I never got to use the Mach 100, although after looking at reviews online, having to shake the blaster vigorously to get the thing to load, no, that's okay. I'll spend my $100 elsewhere. So just to let you know, I am a huge fan of this ammo, and I really want this to take off, and I think this might be the blaster to turn it around. A lot of my gripes with the series or with the platform have been answered or have been corrected with this blaster. Starting with this right here. This right here is phenomenal. This is a huge opening for you to drop. And the thing is, I don't even use these pods. I use a drop pouch that has just a bunch of them in it, and I pick them up by handfuls. And this is just a huge opening that just gets wider as it goes down the stock. So you don't have like this, you don't have like this narrow door that you've got to open and then close, and it's just automatic, and it closes so smoothly, and it's just so snappy. This is a huge upgrade. This needs to be on every blaster that can afford it real estate wise. If there is a two-handed blaster, this needs to be the jam. This needs to be the hopper door. Absolutely must. The actual trigger to get it to open is phenomenal. It's a little difficult. There's a lot of mechanisms, I imagine, going on inside the stock. It's a little kind of difficult to push. I don't want to say difficult. That's the wrong word. There's definitely some resistance. But that's okay, because that keeps the doors closed when you don't want it open. So I can understand that I can get behind the actual weight to open that and close it. So that's not a problem for me. The other benefit for this blaster is the way the hop-up's designed. And this was a massive downside on the Fuel 20, right? The Fuel 20 is a compact blaster that has for some reason, the hopper is going the wrong way. Like it doesn't feed all the way into the actual like chambering inside the front of the blaster. With this one, you have a nice long hopper. It's slanted correctly. It's got a nice concave inside floor, which leads down into two agitators, which is phenomenal. That is a must. And they're not exactly the same size, and they're not perpendicular to each other, or they're crisscross, I guess would be the word I would say. And this chambering system, like the chambering tunnel starts right here and goes all the way down. You fit like 5, maybe 6 hyper rounds in that chambering system. So like you're firing, you can see it in my firing demo. I'm not having to lower the blaster at all to get this thing in the chamber. It's got them all lined up, and that's with 20 rounds, that's with 100 rounds, you name it, it's chambering those reliably. And in my testing procedure, I had one shot that did not chamber, and that was at the very beginning when I first picked up the blaster, and I was loading it, and for some reason I went like this. Now, gravity-fed blasters, in case you don't know, don't feed that way. You have to at least give them a little bit of a dip. But with this one, you can literally hold it horizontal, and the hopper does the work for you. And you don't need to shake it. It was literally fire round after round after round. And that was so refreshing to coming from this platform, from this, I guess, ammo type. I guess it's not really a platform, it's more of an ammo type. But anyway, it was so refreshing to have that type of reliability. So they got the hopper door right. They got the hopper right. They've got the feeding mechanism right. They've got everything inside this internals is right. There is no slam fire. In fact, the only time I had a jam or a malfunction while firing this is when I was attempting to slam fire. You can definitely chamber two rounds by pulling it, going forward while you're holding the trigger. It won't. Basically, what happens is if you hold the trigger, pull it back, go forward, it just chambers another round. You can pull it back and it'll just chamber another round. Once you try to chamber that third round, though, that's when this starts to lock up. So then when you pull the trigger, it shoots one regular and the other one kind of sputter out about 15 feet. So you don't have any benefit there for double priming your blaster. No jams, no malfunctions other than that. I was able to kind of like give it a nice jostle, use the unjamming button to reseed the pusher mechanism and get it unjammed. So it wasn't like I had to take it completely apart, which is great. Just don't try and slam fire. I was able to fire off round after round and chew through probably about 20, 30 rounds without having to do one of these, without having to shake it. So yeah, like I said, 20, 30 rounds, just going to town on it. Obviously with no slam fire, that was a single trigger pull every time, but the blaster kept up, which was awesome. I couldn't have asked for much more than that. Let's talk about these tack rails. This one I don't have a problem with because it kind of coincides with the way they've got the hoppers or the pod set up, and it's a welcome addition. Like, you can have it on there and it doesn't impede anything when you're aiming. It fits nice on there. It doesn't look like it's, you know, a sore thumb or anything like that. It looks like it belongs. This tack rail up here is pretty much useless. I mean, aside from putting like a flashlight on there, there's really not much more you can add to this. You could probably, if you got one high enough, put a laser light or put a laser light off to the side. Maybe, if that's your jam, great. I know for me personally, and I'll kind of talk about this in a little bit, the very front of my blaster is where I set my camera. So the fact that this has stock, like built-in iron sights, I won't be able to put my camera on here, and this blaster is already tall enough that adding a riser rail and then putting my camera on top just makes it feel even more unwieldy. So the other thing I wanted to talk about too, and I don't know, we're doing this live because I didn't do this prior to this. Let's see if we can get this handle off of here and see what Nerf does as far as their attachment point. Am I gonna be able to reach it? That is the question. Uh-oh. Oh yeah. So let's take this apart, see what it looks like underneath. All right, here's the moment of truth. Where'd that screw go? Can we take it apart? Okay. Oh, come on. Really? Really, Hasbro? Nope. I kind of figured as much. You know, Dart Zone, they give us the Picatinny rail underneath their vertical grips. Hasbro gives us this piece of plastic. I mean, you could probably 3D print something to fit these post holes, which is nice. There's 3 of them, so it's definitely going to be secure. But it's not going to fit your favorite grips. It's pretty large, so kind of making a tack rail to put on that. All right, well, let's button it back up. I don't know why I was holding my breath for some type of tack rail. They don't use them on the top of their blasters, but I was like, oh, that would be that would be such a win for the modding community, for, you know, just goodwill towards, you know, the players. But yeah, Hasbro strikes again. All right, so we got it back on there again. That's kind of disappointing, but, you know, overall this is still a win. This is a great stock. Couple of the complaints that I do have is the size, the vertical size of this thing. Like, this is just massive right here, massive. And I understand that, you know, this right here is pretty much all the loading mechanism to make sure that it's consistent. And if that's what it has to look like, then far be it for me to say, you know what, this needs to be slimmer, because I want reliable firing blasters, not necessarily ones that are slim and more realistic. But yeah, just know that this is a tall blaster, and I think with a vertical grip, it makes it look even taller. Personally, I like vertical grips, even if they are angled. That's still my personal preference. But for something this size, I almost feel like a horizontal one would be a little bit more ergonomic, I guess, or friendly to the eyes. I don't know what to say. More aesthetically pleasing. There you go. But that might make it too close to the Siege 50 because that was the one that had the horizontal grip. So I don't know. At this point, you're talking, you know, person A versus person B, what they like and dislike. Overall, does the blaster work? Absolutely does. Does this grip work for the blaster? It sure does. It's great. Feels perfect. Couldn't ask for more. But that is my overall opinion. The other thing that I wanted to show you guys and what we're working on for the range and improving the accuracy of this blaster is we're working on a hop-up system for this. Now, this is a little bit of a chunky boy. This is our first go around at it. Not quite completed with it. We're still kind of fine-tuning it to its fit and finish. Now, you'll notice, I don't know if you can see this vertically here, but you'll notice that the inner barrel doesn't have the same type of rifling that the Rush 40 has, so you're not going to be able to use your Rush 40 hop up. However, there is two little prongs here that kind of jet out from the barrel itself. That's what we're looking at using to kind of secure the hop up to the blaster itself. So much like with the Rush 40, how it had those more pronounced rifling on the inside of the barrel, and that gave you an opportunity to push in your hop up and give it more purchasing power to the point where you didn't even need glue. You could just push it, it would just friction fit in and you're good to go. I think that those two prongs will be perfect. You know, I think I've got the sizing right. We just gotta get this inner diameter, just flesh that out just a little bit more so that it fits nice and snug and is not gonna fall out while you're kind of running down the battlefield. And then after that, we're gonna dial in the amount of hop up to give it the best range while not impacting the FPS as much as possible. So where does this blaster land as far as the loadout goes? Now I will tell you that the prime strength to pump this is about 18 pounds. So my 5-year-old was not able to use it, but my 12-year-old had it no problem priming this whatsoever. He really enjoyed the way this felt. Even more so than the Dictator. With this vertical grip, it really kind of gave him a little bit more to grab onto and a little bit more angle to pull it back and prime it. With this being only 18 pounds versus 20 for the Dictator, it's a little bit easier for him to prime, and I believe he'd be able to use this all day without any problem. So between the less pounds to prime it and the vertical grip, I think that would benefit him the most. But for myself, this isn't going to take the place of my Nexus Pro. There's just too much missing still. While they did make some fantastic upgrades, there's still a few things missing. I'm becoming a fan of the stocks, like not the stocks in general, but I've become a fan of fixed stocks and built-in like secure stocks, because between this and the Dictator, I enjoy that feeling more so than the adjustable buffer tube stock. While having the ability to exchange, move that out or whatever, I feel like I can adapt, to this well enough that I don't need to worry about extending it or whatever. And having the reliability of being able to butt this up against my shoulder and not have to worry about it creaking or cracking or bending, all that good stuff. So just like with the Dictator, like this is a welcome benefit. for this size. Now that's for me. I'm 6'4" with a pretty big wingspan, so this might not be the best size for you. You're just gonna have to try it out and see if it's for you. Yeah, I'm really starting to kind of be more accepting to this style of stock versus the adjustable one. The one thing that's going to really keep me from using this over my Nexus Pro, or at least taking place of it, is there's no place for my camera gear. There's no place for the external battery or I guess for the forward-facing camera, I could still attach it to this rail and point it towards me. That would be perfectly fine. But the interference that this is going to cause, and already how tall it is, putting a riser rail to get up over that, I'm not about doing all that. I really wanted that to work, but yeah, the performance-wise, like, unless we can get an extra 60 FPS out of this, I'm going to stick with my Nexus. Who knows? Maybe we can upgrade this and get a more powerful spring in there. I'm really looking forward to getting this finished to see if this increases our range. Because if we can shoot, 110 average FPS, and we can reach out to 45 feet or reach out to 60 feet, I could get behind using this. I could, if you didn't have a Nexus or whatever, I could get behind using this. It's definitely a fun blaster to use. Like I said, it's not going to be taking the place as my primary weapon in my loadout, but I would run this in a couple battles a day. Not too bad. The other thing that's holding this blaster back is the ammo type. I really want to see Nerf come out with a magazine, and there's going to be more on that later. We might be designing something using Hyper because I think it's a great ammo size type. I don't care for the stickiness of it, but stay tuned. We are working on something that is magazine fed, and we're going to try it out and see how it goes. But still in very early design and testing. Yeah. Anyway, so that was the review on the Evolve 100. Let me know in the comments below if you guys find this blaster interesting. Do you think it's you think it's too late? Is there enough here to make you buy into Hyper? For me, yeah. This right here is if this would have came out last year, I feel like it would have given everybody a much better taste of what Hyper has to offer. So I'm hoping that they have at least one more blaster in 2022 release cycle here. That at least would give us a little bit more confidence in this ammo type, in this platform. But I feel like this is a good start. This kind of erases all the bad faith that I've got from the last year's blasters, excluding the Rush 40. I enjoyed that one. But this is a fantastic primary and well worth your $55. I did purchase this at Target for $51.99, so I got a little bit of a discount. But was this good? This was good. So thanks for watching, guys. If you liked the video, you know what to do. Do all the fun things that we ask you to do at the end of videos. And yeah, we'll see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.